sleep is so much more than all the stuff that people are always trying to sell you, the mattresses, the pillows, the whatever. You can get really good sleep by just reflecting inward and seeing what's going on with everything that you've been God given.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Karese, is with us today, and we are going to talk about sleep. I know we all sleep, but do we sleep where we wake up in the morning and go, woohoo, it's morning, let's go? Or do we go, oh my gosh, I just need 10 more minutes? You pick, and this is a question that I have is, how do I get the right sleep? Yeah, I sleep every night, but sometimes I don't wake up with that pep. And other days I'm ready to go. So Karese is going to help us with that. But before we get started, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, Karese, help me sleep. We'll be right back.
This is Adam Adams, co-founder of Optimized LLC, where we take the guesswork out of your health. If you're feeling exhausted, struggling with weight, or just not feeling yourself anymore, your hormones might be the problem. And that's why we test, not guess. Analyzing your blood work to pinpoint exactly what's holding you back. At Optimized LLC, we help you rebalance your hormones, boost energy, and reclaim your life. Don't settle for normal. Aim for optimized. Just go to optimized.com to book your free introductory coaching call. It's a free call to help you take the first step toward feeling your best.
All right. I'm really excited for this because I do still have groggy days and, I should say mornings. So what is it that can help me wake up with that pep in my step every day?
You'd be surprised to know that it has nothing to do with what mattress you slept on, what kind of pillow you slept, sometimes your position of sleeping, or whether you were on your phone, scrolling all night, that blue light within your eyes. None of that really impacts your sleep in the same way that improper breathing or just dysfunctional breathing will actually impact your quality of sleep. So a lot of times it's that thing that we're doing all day long that sometimes we're not very conscious of doing, breathing, that is the biggest disruptor of our sleep.
Yeah, but I'm asleep. How do I tell myself to breathe?
Oh, man, I love your questions, Laura. This is why we are best friends. Okay. When you're asleep, your body's on automatic. It's just doing what it's got to do. The first stages of sleep, muscle relaxation, and everything is sort of starting to go into a calm. But then your brain is really kicking itself into overdrive. And during a lot of that, it is really powering out the lungs and our breathing. So our breathing is going to be the main driver for what's happening for our brain and our brain activity. Fun fact, your brain works more at night when you're sleeping than it does during the day. It's firing a lot more at night. So while it's trying to work on all these restorative processes like memory, renewing our immune system, cell regeneration, like all the functional things that we really need, and our cognitive abilities too, while it's working on all of that, it needs its own set of oxygen. But a lot of times, if we're not breathing appropriately, it has to redirect all of its functions to, we've got to breathe. So a lot of times we think about sleep, and the first thing we think about, like if I was to tell you, hey, how would you know someone's sleeping? You might say snoring, right? When we think about sleep, a lot of times we think about snoring, and we think about it as like a common associator with our sleep. But it's actually, while it is common, yes, I'm not going to, take that away from anybody. It is common. It's not normal. And if we think about snoring, that's actually your first sign that you have inefficient breathing, because snoring is just the sound of air meeting resistance as it's trying to go through your upper respiratory tract. So whether your mouth is open, or it's your nose and you're snoring from either your mouth and you're hearing those deep throat sounds, or you're getting the snore through your nose, that's your number one sign. So you're not in active control of it. Your brain is, and it's functioning on overdrive, making sure that you're breathing. Some of that breathing that you might be doing inefficiently, there's a big red flag. That snore. That's letting your bed partner, if you have one, your animals, your neighbors sometimes know that you're not getting good sleep.
I always wonder how my phone knows I snort or not. It's like, how do you know?
Oh, it's always listening. It's always listening. If you've ever
know,
talked
isn't-
about your toothpaste and then suddenly now it's sending you ads.
Yes, unfortunately, it does do that. But so here, how do I change that? Like, 'cause so I am asleep. How do I start learning how not to snore? That would be hard.
It does sound hard, right? But let's just think about some of the processes of sleep. And I'm going to draw a wonderful analogy and image for you because there's nothing I love more than a little bit of imagery. So, when we're thinking about sleep and we're thinking about how we breathe and how all of that is regulated, it's all a lot of soft tissue. We open our mouths. If you look back in your throat, if you could see back there into your pharynx, it is all soft tissue. Up your nose, if you were ever to be able to see up there, which we can't quite do, but if you were ever able to see up there, you would see it's a lot of soft tissue. The whole throat, soft tissue. Okay. Soft tissue, muscles, and so forth. So here's our image. I want you to imagine a person, female, whatever. They're on the beach and they've got a 6-pack set of abs. They put their beach towel on the sand and they're going to lie down and relax and just sunbathe. This 6-pack set of abs, they look amazing, this person, as they're standing up. And then as they go to lie down, there's an imparted higher force of gravity that's on their body. But those abs, they don't really shift or move. They actually still look great while that person's lying down. And I know you're looking at me like, where is she going with this? Don't worry. We're going to get a friend for them on the beach. And this friend now has more of a beer belly. And they're going to put their towel down and they're going to lie down next to their friend with the 6-pack abs. And that beer belly, it has a certain shape. It holds a certain shape. You have an image in your head right now. We're going to lie them down. They now have an added force of gravity on them as well. But does that beer belly sit up in the same way, or does it shift? Everything
Definitely shifts. Yeah.
Yes. And so many of us know this, because we have friends, right? Not our own personal experience, but but it shifts and it changes. It's a difference in the musculature. It's a difference in the composition of that body, right? And we can understand that visually, and everybody understands muscles from the shoulders down. But I want you to go back to what I mentioned earlier, that a lot of where we breathe is soft tissue and muscle as well. So when we go to lie down at night, we have an added force of gravity, which is already going to now put more force down on those soft tissues. But like I also mentioned earlier, the first stages of sleep are muscle relaxation. So your muscles are getting to a deep level of relaxation and there's gravity there. So it makes it more susceptible to narrowing and in some instances, closure or brief closure, we hope. And some of that narrowing and closure is how we're, getting that sound of snoring as the air is just trying to get through that smaller space. Now, if we get back to just the idea that these are muscles and soft tissue, the same way muscles don't change regardless of where they're located in the body, the same way you can work on 6-pack abs, work on your abdominals, you can make lifestyle changes, you can do exercises, activities, and so forth. You can work on those muscles that are above your shoulders as well. You can work on those airway muscles. You can work on your throat muscles. You can even do nasal hygiene, and I'm sure we'll get into that very shortly. But you can do things that will help to open up that space and make it more sustainable to its own patency because it would be stronger. So it would be like those 6-pack abs where it's more resistant to that gravity and the muscle relaxation. So where it would be able to stay strong on its own. So yeah, that's
So
how
I'm
we
going
work on
to
that.
do neck exercises or throat exercises and strengthen those muscles so when I lay down, I don't have that floppy bear belly, but I have that strong six pack. I got a six
Yes,
pack neck.
exactly. I call it a six-pack airway, and
Okay.
it's phenomenal. It's going to be your best friend in getting better sleep. I think that a lot of people don't think that you can work out those muscles, but we're working them out most of the time anyway. I mean, if you've ever gargled mouthwash, you've done a little work on some of those muscles. Now it's just increasing the duration of such or mixing up some of the other ways that you can manipulate those muscles. But it's a fabulous way for us to now conceptualize like what's going on in that space.
So if I'm working out the rest of my body, I see changes in my biceps and I can lift more things and I can do more. I'm not sure how I would be able to measure how well I was exercising those other neck muscles or the breathing area. So, how would I measure progress? I'm not awake enough to know that I am snoring less. So, is there a way it's like, "Ooh, I have a six pack now," or
I love that. You'll be surprised. Once you start doing some exercises, you'll feel that muscle fatigue, the same sort of muscle fatigue. Now, I don't have, surprise, surprise, but I don't have six pack abs. But if I was to work out, I could see the definition. I get what you're saying. But if I was to work out, before I get to that definition, I would feel the muscles. I would feel like muscular fatigue. I would be like, oh man, I really worked my core. Like it really doesn't feel great. You're going to feel some of that in the muscles in the throat too. It doesn't feel like a sore throat. It more feels like, oh, my throat just feels tired, but you'll feel some of that muscle engagement. Outside of that, you'll notice a change and a shift in your daytime posture and breathing. Because I don't know if you know or not, Laura, but there is a proper way for us to be breathing during the day. Did you know that?
maybe I
Maybe.
don't know
Yeah.
what your answer to this is. I've read a few books and stuff, and you go, yeah, but I even went through some sessions of mouth taping, so try and do more of the nose breathing. But I just was imagining, when people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't walk today. It was leg day." I was like, "Oh, I can't do my presentation today. It was throat day."
Oh my gosh, that is funny. That would be a really great excuse for work. You just blame it on Karese. But I, um, yeah, so proper resting posture. I love that you said that you've done some mouth taping. Proper resting posture for breathing does involve breathing through our nose primarily instead of our mouth. Yes. So we want our lips closed. But what you'll also notice is that a big part of it in the tongue. And the tongue is going to help you to really be aware that you are opening up more of your airway. So we'll get our tongue up and lightly suction against the entirety of our palate, which is the roof of our mouth. And fun fact, the roof of the mouth is the floor of the nose. Okay. So when that tongue's up there, it's stimulating the nasal floor and helping to improve your nasal breathing on top of stimulating your vagus nerve. So that's a big one too. You get the back of that tongue connected with the back of the roof of the mouth, and it is stimulating that vagus nerve, which is controlled the autonomic nervous system. So that's our fight or flight, our sympathetic, or our rest and digest, our parasympathetic systems. And so you're able to self-regulate a little better. But with that tongue up in the palate, it's actually up and out of the airway. And when your airway is a bit stronger and more patent, you feel the deeper breaths. There are people who say, oh my gosh, I feel I am getting more ability to breathe. So you'll feel the difference more so in how you're breathing than, being able to see a six pack airway.
Well, feeling the difference is what's important, right? I don't need to prove to you that I do my exercises. So, and I'm thinking through this, and I love deep breaths and stuff. And I know that sometimes at night you wake up kind of like, just that not a deep sleep, you're kind of in and out. And just, I remember one time in my life, every little noise would wake me up. It's because I wasn't really asleep, but I was really rested. How do we create that environment to help us sleep well, even if we do all these cool exercises? And I'm hoping that you're going to tell us a few of them.
Yes, we can create a great environment to make sure that we're resting well. Some of the things that I told you don't matter, they matter a little bit. You want to make sure that you're, limiting your exposure to light at night. You want to make sure that you are sleeping in a comfortable space. You don't want to be too warm. I know there are some people who really love warmth, but a little bit of that cold air. So right around 69 degrees is like a really good space. And for some people, they might be like, that's not really cold, but I live in Florida, so I feel like 69 is pretty brisk. Anyway, you want it a little bit cooler in the environment. You can still wrap yourself in a blanket. You can still wrap yourself in a weighted blanket if you want, but you have to set the environment and set the stage. But the very first few steps of sleep, as you mentioned, those lighter stages of sleep, you really need to wind down into that. So you have to prepare your body to get into that zone. So when you are thinking about bed, create a routine. Routines, we thrive on them as adults. Our body, when we talk about circadian rhythm, it's a rhythm. It has to follow a routine. It's not just, routines for babies and routines for toddlers and routines for kids. People are always talking about that. If you're a parent, you're always talking about that. But we need routines too. Our bodies are going to thrive off of that. So create a relaxing bedtime routine. And part of that should involve a little bit of nasal hygiene to prepare your body for optimal breathing and restoration. Nasal hygiene just being whether it's irrigation. So immediately I say nasal hygiene and people go to like thinking about a neti pot where you pour all the saline solution in one nostril, it flows out the other, and you're like, oh, that sounds annoying. But it could just be something as like aromatherapy, diffusing certain essential oils, particularly eucalyptus or peppermint. Those are the two best ones for breathing. But diffusing those in a room or turning on a humidifier so that your nose doesn't get too dry and you're able to breathe optimally. We're using just a saline spray and ensuring that you're getting that saline up there. But create a routine where you are, one, cleaning out your nose, two, getting relaxed into bed. So if that's reading your favorite book or singing a hymn or just however you're best relaxing. And then give yourself a little lull. You'll start to drop into stage one sleep, which will guide you into stage two, and you'll go deeper and deeper, much easier and much faster. A lot of the people who struggle with sleep, if you just create a routine, you'll be able to get to sleep much more consistently because you'll be training your body on how to work into this flow.
Okay, so by creating this routine, I was thinking more of it's a mind trick, but you're actually preparing, like putting on your jammies. You're actually preparing your face to sleep.
Yes,
Is it okay?
absolutely. Our bodies need that. They need some sort of routine signal that says, hey, this is what we've got to do next.
Okay. Well, I have this routine with my dogs. I give them this one treat they don't any other time, and that means it's bedtime and you're not playing anymore.
You see?
And it works for them. I guess it will work for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we forget about ourselves. We start to neglect ourselves in taking care of everyone around us, taking care of our kids or pets or whoever else. And it's really important that we understand that we need that routine just as badly, just as much as your dog needs that treat before bed, just as much as a kid might need a story before bed, just as much as you might need a hug before bed. Like, we need it.
That's cool. I'm trying to think, do I have one of those routines? It's like there's certain things I do. Um, but I don't know if I consciously call it a routine. Put on your pajamas, brush your teeth, get the bed ready, feed the dog their treat, turn off the lights, then it's bedtime.
Exactly. But yeah, that routine will set your body up for success.
How rigid does this routine need to be? And like, consistency of bedtime. I am not a consistency of bedtime. It's whenever I get everything I wanted to get done, then I go to bed.
Oh, that's a terrible sleep habit. Okay. We've got to
But how else do you get
better
everything
about
done?
no, we got to do better with scheduling out our days. So a lot of people think that the time, like the duration of time you're in bed is the biggest thing. And it's not. We need to be consistent to get the best quality of sleep that we can. And so even if your sleep stage, let's say you can get full restorative sleep in 5 hours instead of needing what I'm going to put it in air quotes. Okay. And I know our friends listening can't see my air quotes, but if you need the 5 hours as compared to the 7 to 9 hours that most adults need, that's okay. That's totally good. So you can get your time if you're just structuring it better to understand where your wonderful sweet spot for sleep is. So with the consistency, you'll learn that. Like I very much, just like you, and like a late to bed because I've got so much to do. I've got to get down. But 5.5 to 6 hours is my sweet spot. Like I wake up feeling amazing. So I might not go to bed till 11:30 to midnight is my sweet spot of like, that's my routine. Midnight, I'm gone. And then when I wake up, 5:30, 6 a.m., I feel amazing, absolutely amazing. So I'm still able to use from 6 a.m., just about 11:30 p.m. as my time to get as much done as possible without feeling that daytime fatigue, that lethargic, oh my gosh, I'm dragging. I just can't even focus on whatever it is I have to do. I'm optimizing what I've got at night to help me power through my day.
So I have a question for you. This is like I get if I oversleep, which is rarely, but if I'm just staying in bed and I'm not getting up or boycotting the day, I actually feel groggier in the day. Why would that be?
Yeah, most of that is that you're not actually getting sleep. Your body might be in more of like a sedation or like a lighter sleep mode for a good portion of that. So when you don't feel adequately refreshed or you spend too long in bed, the body just doesn't kick in to like, oh, okay, this is done. We've got to be productive now. I think it's really, really, really important that we start to just pay attention to those signals and those signs of our bodies because a lot of us just don't even know what it is we're supposed to be looking for. But feeling that grogginess in the morning is a great, great sign that you probably need to change something in what's going on with your nighttime routine or you didn't have a good night of sleep. And so you would want to get up, expose yourself to sunlight as best you can. Some people live in some narrow spaces, so maybe you're not able to, get outside to expose yourself to light as far as walking out on like a porch or whatever. But just open up your curtains, look out the window, expose yourself to some sunlight, and that's going to help to start waking up the body and getting you a little bit out of that grog. Maybe you'll be able to take like a 30-minute nap later on in the afternoon and refresh that way.
So the amount of time isn't going to change how well I feel. How do I figure out to do the quality? And so if I add that nasal hygiene as part of the routine and actually to help me breathe better during the night, and like, how do I make sure I get the right amount of REM sleep or the right amount of deep sleep? Is it just routine eventually just lets our body do the right rhythm? Or is there something I can do to force it?
I love that. You do ask the best questions, Laura. I love that you're like thinking through this and you're helping our other best friends out there. Okay. So you're going to be able to help your body, your brain, really, because your brain is the one doing all of those restorative tasks. You're going to be able to help by more efficiently breathing, help it to focus on those other tasks that do the actual restoration. You're going to be able to help it focus on getting its major jobs done of detoxing itself, helping you with your immune system, making sure that you're getting your memories implanted, making sure that, all the things, all of the restorative processes of sleep. And in that, your body feels refreshed. It feels real recharged. It's literally like recharging a battery. So it's like how you might plug in a phone at night. You wake up in the morning and it's that full battery. You're going to wake up and you're going to feel that everything feels good. It feels new. It feels different.
I love the idea of it feeling better. I just still this is a morning recording and I was really groggy starting out like, oh my gosh, my brain hasn't kicked in yet. But, how force it in with supplements and stretching and breathing. But if I never got there, that would even be better. Why dig yourself out of the mire if you never got in it in the first place? So
Totally.
I'd like to prevent it. How do I prevent this with, the routine, the exercises, and the just quality of, but is that all I have to do?
It's really that simple. But here's a great way for you to start being mindful of how you're breathing at like a wonderful rest, but it's not active rest. So I'm going to give you a conscious breathing exercise. And I
Okay.
know everybody's like, conscious breathing, what's that, like meditation? I don't have time for meditation, or I can't quiet my brain. Good. I don't want you to do any of that. Okay. What you're going to do, you're going to pick a song. You're going to pick a song that is 60 to 80 beats per minute. And if you're not sure, there's a lot of great songs that are in that range. A lot of, be it Michael Jackson, Elvis has a couple of songs that are in that range, Bruno Mars for like the younger generation, whatever. Pick a song. YouTube, you could always YouTube it and figure out what's between that 60 to 80 beats per minute. But we want that 60 to 80 beats per minute. That way we're regulating our heart rate along the way. We don't want music that's too exciting or too calm. So 60 to 80 beats per minute. Pick a song, and then I want you to just focus on the song. Ideally, it's a song that you like, maybe you know the words for, and I want you to focus on the song and allow yourself to breathe and dance, these are my air quotes again, and dance with your breath. Okay. So you're going to allow your breath to speed up, slow down, to pause, to however you would like to manage your breath during that time. When you're towards the end of the song, I want you to be really, really aware of where everything is. So when I say where everything is, I want you to be aware of whether or not you were mouth breathing during that time or nasal breathing, where your tongue was during that time. Was it all the way up against your palate, and up and out of the airway? Was it just halfway up? Is it kind of floating in the middle of your mouth? Is it resting all the way down? Were your teeth together during that? Or are they slightly apart? All of these are going to make the big differences in how you're able to get quality breathing. So you can nasal breathe, but if your tongue's in the wrong posture, you're probably still a little bit more narrow in how much air you're getting through, because that tongue is not out of the airway space. It's kind of partially blocking it off, right? So we want to make sure that our tongue is up and it's in the right space. Next time you go to do the same exercise and same conscious breathing thing with the music and you're listening, try it with your tongue suctioned up to the roof of your mouth. If you're struggling to get the tongue up there, rub a little, everybody has allergies, but peanut butter, honey, something up there that's sticky, rub it on the roof of your mouth and just try to get your tongue to connect to it if you're struggling. To get your tongue to connect to it and just start to practice getting those lips closed, that tongue up, and seeing how you feel breathing during the daytime there. As you're being more and more consciously aware, as you're starting to adjust every day and giving yourself the 4 to maybe 5 minutes, depending on what song you pick. Giving yourself those 4 minutes to just reflect, you're exercising your airway. You're starting to work on all those muscles in the most positive way. And so it's a really great way to give yourself like a head start into the proper use of these muscles and opening up your airway so that you can get yourself prepared for that better sleep and breathing.
Do singers sleep better than us non-singers? I'm just thinking of how much exercise they do on their vocal cords all the time. Like,
Yeah, it really depends. Different styles of singing, you'd be so surprised. So I've worked with a lot of singers actually. And whether they're singing like opera or they're more classically trained and things like that, or whether they're singing like on Broadway and they're meant to like really project in a different type of way and they're changing their inflections in their voice, the exercises that they do vary. And so some of them are working on, more front of the mouth type things and not as far back. But yes, there are some singers who do really, really well as far as like sleep training and they're able to get really good sleep because their muscles are already most of the way there.
I mean, I know people that work in construction and stuff and go, I don't have to go to the gym. I'm at the gym all day long. And so that was kind of where that came from is like, I don't have to do muscle breathing exercises because I do that all day long.
Yes, yes.
All right. So we know a little bit about it. What can I do right now? What can I try? Just sing. I mean, I'm going to be singing for 4 minutes. Is that all I need to do? That sounds so easy.
That's a really great start. And that'll really help with a lot of the tongue and the lower part of that airway, right? But if you want to work on the upper part of the airway, which is really the nose and what's going on behind there, nasal hygiene. I'm not going to stop talking about nasal hygiene. You don't like things going up your nose, that's fine. There's so many different ways to do nasal hygiene nowadays. There's microcurrents, there's audio technology where, you just put like a headband on and it clears your sinuses. It's really interesting. There's so many ways to do it, but you have to take care of your nose. We could go for days without water. We can go for weeks without food, but none of us, not a single living human on this planet can go for any more than a few minutes without breathing. And so when we think about that and we think about this wonderful uh, body part that has been optimized for that, that's going to filter the air coming through our body, that's going to humidify it, that is going to produce nitric oxide so that it uptakes into our body and is able to be distributed in all the wonderful ways that we need that oxygen distributed. If we think about that, our nose should be the most important thing that we're cleaning every single day. So the best thing you can do, even before you start doing that breathing exercise or conscious breathing or anything else, is to start cleaning out that nose. It's pivotal.
What if you have like a defect, like deviated septum or something? Can you make it get better without surgery by doing these exercises and cleansing?
That's a really good question. And there's a lot that we don't know that's going on. So there's some people who might not know, maybe it's not as obvious just looking at their nose that they have a deviation. I would 100% go see a medical professional and just make sure that there's nothing structurally going on. You could still do nasal hygiene, but it just might not be as effective in one of the nostrils wherever your deviation is going towards. And so you could still do it. You're going to get a lot of help with clearing out the sinuses, which is incredibly important, and ensuring that the adenoids, which are the tonsillar bodies behind that nose there, making sure that those aren't getting overly inflamed and that those are able to, depressurize and so forth. You want to make sure that you're actually taking care of all that soft tissue. But 100%, it's not going to change your need for a septoplasty or a turbinate reduction or anything else that might be structural hard structures.
So definitely if all these things don't work, or if you already know you have something like that, then definitely hit the medical doctor up. Okay.
Yeah.
great advice.
Yeah, I can help with all the soft tissues, all the muscles, but ooh, bony structures, not my
So
way.
I can get my 6-pack just by singing 4 minutes a day?
Yeah, it's a great start. It is a great start. There's other things you can do. There's a lot of great ways to activate those muscles. But gargling would be another one too. Another great way for you to also utilize. Now, here's the problem with some gargling. When you're gargling, and most people do it with mouthwash, but when you're gargling and you're gargling with mouthwash, it has SLS in it more often than not. Sodium lauryl sulfate, which is what causes it to bubble. And so when you're gargling, you can only gargle, but for so long. So make sure that you're gargling with something other than a mouthwash, something like just water, something that's going to not bubble. That way you can increase your duration of such. And extended gargling is like one of the best ways that you can really work on some of those pharyngeal muscles and work on the throat.
Okay. So
Yeah,
just have a little cup by the sink, and after you're done brushing your teeth and doing your normal gargle,
right.
just add a water one.
Exactly. Exactly. Look at all these wonderful tips you've gotten.
I know you just keep dishing them out. I should be
You're going to
writing
have the
them
best
down.
sleep tonight.
Yes, tomorrow I'll wake up going, woo, here, let's play. Now, this will be great because these are simple and they're not that. I'm guessing gargling in the morning, but I guess you could do it as a part of your sleep routine too, or would that make it too tired?
I would say I would gargle 2 or 3 times a day, honestly. You can do it and bookend it around sleep, first thing in the morning, before you go to bed, but definitely maybe a middle one too. The more repetition we put into these things, right? So, like, I can do bicep curls and do 10 of them or what, but the reps are what matter. So, the more repetition, the better.
Okay. So the longer duration is more important than 5 little ones?
Well, getting in more repetition, I think
Oh,
is
okay.
better. So even if you're
So
doing
3 5-minute ones is better than one 15-minute one.
exactly.
Okay. That's why I wasn't sure which side of that was. All right. Other tips or anything else you want to share with us today?
Well, I think that if at any point in time you feel like you're struggling with any of these things, or, I think it's really important that you contact a medical professional to discuss what some of your options are. But sleep, I think, is the most important thing as the takeaway for this is that sleep is so much more than all the stuff that people are always trying to sell you, the mattresses, the pillows, the whatever. You can get really good sleep by just reflecting inward and seeing what's going on with everything that you've been God given. Like, here's your body. How is this working for you? And so I think that's the biggest takeaway is that it's not about the things. It's not about all the things you can purchase and do and whatever. It's about being able to reflect inward. And once you really start working on more of that, I think you'll find the biggest changes that are going to be really impactful in your daytime function.
Okay. I can do that. Why don't you share with our friend a little bit about you, what you do, and how would they get a hold of you if they need to contact you?
Yeah, so I am a myofunctional therapist, which just means I work like a personal trainer almost for all of these wonderful muscles we've been talking about. And I am super passionate about everybody getting really good sleep, breathing optimally, because not only does it help with your sleep, it's all about our daytime function. Like, your day today is fully dependent on your night last night. And so I'm super passionate about everybody showing up as their best selves and being able to function on full instead of what's left over. That's one of my biggest things. You can find me online all the time. I'm everywhere on the social medias, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, all at the Myospot, TheMyoSpot. Also on my website, themyospot.com. I do free consultations. I love talking to any and everybody about how they can really work these muscles. And so I'd love to chat with any more of our best friends.
Sounds great. And the information about you, all that, the links and everything in the show notes. So you can jump right back down in there. So the one thing we're doing this week is more than one. But, so if I was to pick, is it the 4-minute singing or the gargling or the nasal hygiene?
Hygiene.
The nasal
I have to
hygiene.
pick one. It's the nasal hygiene.
Okay. So get that saline spray or the neti pod or the Novo or whatever that one is out and use it more than once a year.
Exactly. It's not just for when you're congested. It's actually going to help you to prevent some of that congestion too. So make it a daily routine, prioritize your breathing. Your body will thank you.
Sounds wonderful. I will definitely do some nasal hygiene tonight and see how it changes my waking up, because I do love it when I feel like dancing on the moment when I get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes the whole day so much better. So thank you, Karese, for joining me. It's been a pleasure. It's been way fun. I know that sleep can sound a little boring, but it is so important. So please give it a try with your nasal hygiene and the other things too if you want this week. I know sometimes I have to do it baby steps one at a time and just add to the routine instead of creating a whole new one. So whatever way works for you, let's do it. Thank you for joining. Karese and I are here for fun and entertainment, not an education, but not for medical advice. So please make sure that if you do have a hard time sleeping, it could be more than just your breathing. So do pay attention to what your doctor says. So, and the full medical disclaimer is in the show notes also. So fun. Thank you so much and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Laura Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.